Hello, friends. We're 1 minute early, so we're going to just take 60 seconds before we begin together. And as we do that, let's just close our eyes for these 60 seconds as we welcome our other community members in tonight or any time that they are accessing this YouTube video. So let's just close our eyes and place our attention on our heart. And we'll begin in a minute. All right. Welcome to Spiritual Center Spokane. My name is Reverend Bonnie, and this is our first gathering of 2025. Welcome. Whether you are here with me live at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday night, or you watch this later, what I know is since there is no time in the infinite, since time is a man made structure, that the energy and the connectedness is still experienced, felt, and known regardless of the time of tune in. So I am so honored and pleased to be with you. What I know about people who attend or who have come to Spiritual Center Spokane is it's a group of people who are committed to living from spirit with large hearts and open minds. And so if you have found this channel, I know that this too is true of you. And from the depth of my being, I give a shout out and a welcome to you. So tonight is about a talk and a practice. And what that means is that I will be giving a brief spiritual talk, and then we will go into a practice together. And so again, I wish to welcome you. And if you enjoy tonight, I invite you to please leave a comment saying so. And if you really enjoy tonight, that you share this on your social media with your friends. I also want to let you know there's a website for Spiritual Center Spokane, and it's spiritualcenterspokane.org. And on the website, you can sign up to get our electronic newsletter. And we have a blog on the website and an events page that refers to the different and multiple events held by Spiritual Center Spokane, both online as well as in person. And so if you don't already visit it, make it a frequent visit. And there is a place there for giving too, if you feel so moved to want to give financially. So our format tonight is I will pray us in, and then there'll be a talk followed by a meditation, and we will close. It will last up to 60 minutes. And I trust that this 60 minutes is one that is just as valuable to you as it is to me. So I started tonight by lighting a love candle for us. And I like lighting a candle because it reminds me that the space is sacred, and there'll be more about that in a bit. But let's go ahead and close our eyes and pray together. And so I just begin with the recognition that God is all that there is. There isn't God and anybody. There isn't God and anything. There isn't God and a devil. There isn't God and separation. But there is the divine presence of God from in the beginning God, and out of that all is created. So you and I and all of creation are a manifest form of this divine presence. And as such, we can close our eyes and connect with our heart and open to this divine presence, allowing it to flood our body temples, healing whatever needs to be healed, revealing in our consciousness whatever needs to be revealed, and connecting us, hooking us up, creating an awareness of our oneness with all that is. And so I begin this time together from this awareness of the sacredness of all life. I begin with the awareness that everyone is holy. I begin with the awareness that time and space is a mental creation and that each one of us lives, moves, and has its being in the depth of spirit. And so I bless our time together tonight. I know that God, that divine love, that grace is at work. And so, knowing this to be true, I celebrate another day of being alive here on this planet and having the privilege of seeing God everywhere in front of me. And so, for this and more, I give thanks. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Beautiful. Yay. So, I really want to talk tonight about environment and the importance of environment. And I've become really aware of it as I'm still in Mazatlan. You could see the curtains behind me in the hotel room. And what I became aware of is within just a couple days of being in this new and different environment, my body let go. Like my tension and stress in my body temple just little by little started releasing. And there's a whole bunch of inform reasons for that, but we know that God, that divine presence is formless, but we're talking about environment. And so environment is a form. And so I arrived in this absolutely beautiful country with big, huge, gigantic waves and gorgeous sunshine and happy people. And in the hotel rooms I'm staying in, the televisions get very few stations, and the ones they get tend to be in Spanish. And even more so, they tend to pixelate a lot. So it's hard to watch for any period of time. So within just a couple days of being unplugged from the media and being in the fresh air and eating fruit and taking walks, there's a shift that happened in my field, in my being, in myself, and it's the environment. So I started making a list of some of the environmental shifts from my cold, uptight kind of life I've created. And that is, like I said, there is warmth, there is sunshine, there is light. There's no politic TV at all. I have been here for 3.5 weeks, and I cannot tell you anything that has happened in politics. And that is just so refreshing. There's a lot of beach music, people dancing, eating. It's like this feeling of a feast of being alive. And then the lapping of the waves that just go back and forth, and the sound that goes with them is really quite spectacular. So I became aware of how the environment that I am in has provided a space for me to let go, has provided the environment has been supportive of me having a shift in attention. And that then led to a conversation I had with a friend of mine who had just done some human design work. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with human design. I've had mine read 3 or 4 times now. And a friend of mine had access to an app that she thinks is spectacular and took my birth date and time and put it in and called me up and read me what makes me unique from my birth time and date, how I am unique. And in there was the description of my gifts and talents. There was my life purpose. It's very comprehensive. It tells me how to eat and what kind of food to eat. I mean, it was really full bodied. And in there it said, this is the environment that serves you. And it struck me because I had already been thinking of environment and I know how potent environment is. So she said to me, your environment, get this, is a shoreline. So I happened to be on a beach, on a shoreline, and my right place, my environment, and it is a physical, literal environment, but it's also the energetic of the environment. So mine is a shoreline, and my friend's was a kitchen table. And hers meant that she gathered people. There was co-creative processes. There was creation together with making food. There was the act of home. So hers was inside and very, very different than mine. And I asked her what some of the other environments are. And there's a cave, there's a valley, and there's like outdoor street markets. So there's different environments where people thrive. And in our conversation, she said that when she writes, she needs to be in a coffee shop writing with people around her because that fits with her kitchen environment, the sounds, the conversation. She feels at home and nestled in her environment, where mine isn't that. And so my environment of the shoreline says that I feel mostly free outside, not inside. And that the shoreline, when I stand on it and look, reminds me of how big the world is. It's an experience of vastness for me. And since who I show up as in my human design has to do with mm, taking information from the unseen world into the seen world, it's necessary that I go vast. And so my environment fits me. The other thing is that there's a vastness that I recognize when the ecosystem and my soul harmonize, and that the freedom that I have amplifies my brain and it comes into sync. So we talked a bit about environment from the human design perspective and how important that is, which parlayed me into my very first understanding of the value of environment. And that is that I studied hypnotherapy, oh gosh, in my 30s. And I did an internship with the highest in demand hypnotherapist in the Seattle area. And this gentleman had a 2-month waiting list. And he mastered the work of a hypnotherapist. And I was his protege and studied with him. And when he worked with anyone around smoking, he always gave the instruction of changing the environment. And he told me that our habits are tied to our environment and our identities are tied to our environment. So when we shift our environment, we allow ourselves to shift ourselves. So if you are actively wanting to change who you are and how you show up in the world, one of the ways to do that is to rearrange the furniture in your house, get rid of a bunch of stuff you've had a long time and bring in some new. And I studied with Martha Beck many, many years ago. And she had said that she, as a sociologist, had noticed that when people naturally are changing who they are from the inside out, an unconscious process of change, that they will go about naturally changing the artwork on their walls, the clothes that they wear. That she said, someone in the midst of a change will throw open their closet, look at their clothes, and will say, "Who wears this kind of thing?" Because the new self emerging doesn't fit into the paradigm of the old clothes. So there's an environmental component that goes with identity and with patterns. So it's the external part of that. And then lastly, when I read Bruce Lipton's work on the biology of belief, and it is a book that I recommend to any and all of my clients who are wanting to heal their physical bodies. He says that just as James Carville, who was Clinton's political strategist, said to all of his volunteers, to all of Clinton's team, he said, the bottom line is it's the economy stupid. Like all you have to do is talk economy and Clinton will win. Okay, that was his line. It's the economy stupid. Well, Bruce Lipton says in the realm of biology, it's the environment. And so he says it's the environment stupid, but why use that word? It's not necessary. The idea being that everything comes down to environment when you are healing and shifting your physical body. And this is what he did as an epigenicist. Am I saying that right? What he did is he would take healthy cells and put them in an unhealthy environment, and all the cells would die. And he would take unhealthy cells and put them into a healthy environment, and they would become vital and live. And so, what he goes forth to say in his writings and in his teachings is that your environment is everything for your physical and emotional well being. So he says, who you hang out with is very important. What you listen to is very important. What kind of food that's in your environment as well is very important. So, how you structure the life around you as the environment is essential to how you be in the world. So this has brought me through to the question that I have, especially for this new year that we're embarking on in 2025. And that is, how do we create a spiritual environment to support us? And in particular, how do I do it in my home? And that got me thinking about Maya Angelou. Remember when she said that no one is allowed in her home who criticizes or tears down, that thoughts are things and they will linger in the air of her house? So she says, I only allow people over in my house that will lift its vibration. What a thought, what a concept. When I bought my home in Spokane, I named it the Magic House. And its tagline is where dreams come true. And part of what I always saw is I have a beautiful glassed-in porch in the front of my home, and I saw myself holding my client sessions there in the glassed-in porch and saying to my clients, "What is the dream you have for your life that you want to have come true?" And knowing that because my home is fortified by prayer and positive energy, that there's nothing that could get in the way of that happening. So the other way that I bless my home and create a sacred environment for me is I have many altars in all of my rooms. Now, people wouldn't walk into a room of mine and go, "What's with all these altars?" Because they think it's part of a design. It isn't an altar in the strict sense of the word, but it's an altar in the sacred sense of the word. So in my living room, I have artwork, sacred artwork, spiritual artwork, carvings, and the like that supports the knowing of the allness and the onlyness of God. And then in my dining room, I have big bowls of sacred rocks and crystals that are that have healing purposes and send out amazing vibrations. And then in my office, right on top of my file cabinets, I have a full-blown altar with different iconography on it and some holy water that I've picked up around the world in different locations. And just the reminder that there is a life beyond the visible realm, and that life is what's holding me. So, as we enter into this new spiritual year of 2025, I ask you to join me in the question of how can we create or call forth or design or recognize the sacredness in the environments that we have. Now, looking at our own internal environment, since you and I are temples of the Most High God, looking at what creates an internal environment that's sacred. And what I know to be true is spaciousness is one of the first things. Allowing ourselves to connect with internal space, to not have a cluttered mind, which means that we meditate, to be able to focus and not get distracted. Again, meditation, breath work is really great for that. Then the other internal environmental support is contemplation and focus. What are we focused upon and what are we contemplating? And then how about the music we listen to? What kind of music do we listen to? Natural sounds, words that we invite in. And then what do we see? And those of you who've worked with me for a long time know that spiritual people see differently than a secular person would. And so we train ourselves to see the presence of God wherever we're at, regardless of the circumstances. We train ourselves to see wholeness when we walk into a hospital room and we see someone who physically is presenting as not whole. We practice seeing the wholeness in the people who are in front of us. So there's an internal shift of sight, which is creative, which is manifesting in its own right. So today we're going to do our meditation, and our meditation is going to include a lot of internal spaciousness prompts. If you have done any work, as I have with Dr. Joe Dispenza, his meditations lead to, I want you to focus on the space between this and that inside of your body. And the reason I believe he does this is that you and I really aren't physical forms. We are energetic beings and we have a physical body. And so quantum physics tells us that we're both a wave and a particle. We are trained from being a young child as seeing each other as particles, seeing each other as physical. But when we enter into the realm of spaciousness, we can conceive of the wave. And there are times in meditation when I am in those in between spaces in consciousness where I can access the wave itself and can know that I am not a body, that I'm an energy field, and can, through that energy field, experience my body. So, we're going to practice today space, and this is important. The accessing space is important, just as I said, from the quantum physics perspective, but it also is for developing witness consciousness with each other. It's important for healing practices. It's important for the ability to manifest, and it's important for inner peace. So, I invite you to get comfortable. If you need a glass of water, get a glass of water. If you like having paper and pen next to you in case you hear things or see things or get intuitive hits, grab a piece of paper and pencil. Like I said, I've lit my candle. If you feel so inspired to do so, you may do the same. And so I will give you a minute to get up and to go get anything you may want or need before we dive into meditation. And I'm going to join you with that and grab a cup of water. See you in a minute. All right, let's begin with our feet firmly placed upon the ground and allow yourself to feel the bottoms of your feet against the beautiful, beautiful earth. And I am on the 9th floor of a hotel, so my feet aren't directly on the earth, but energetically, they are on the earth. I can feel through the 9 layers all the way down to the foundation, beyond the foundation to the beach. And I feel my feet grounded. And I allow myself for a moment to experience the space between my feet and the ground. And when I experience this, I invite myself to see if I can connect with the energy that is vibrating and moving between the two, between the feet and the ground. And since the earth and our bodies are made of similar and same compounds, let's just allow that energy that swaps between each to be received as a holy, WHOLE, holy, and HOLY, holy energy. So I allow Mother Earth to feed me through my feet as I actively receive. And now I place my attention on top of my feet, and I feel the space where my visible feet meet the invisible world. That place where my skin, the top of my skin, meets the field in which I live, move, and have my being, the auric field, or we have so many different layers of being on top of our skin. But I try just to feel where my skin and the invisible are in communion with each other. And I slowly move my attention up my body, beginning with the lower part of my legs and moving up to my knee. And as I do it ever so slowly, as though I'm giving my skin, my body, my being a spiritual, energetic massage. And when I land on my kneecaps, I allow myself to feel the energy between my knees and the invisible realm, just that ever so slight space. And now I go up my thighs. And I place my attention on my buttocks and I feel the space between my butt and the chair. And this is not a logical exercise, this is an energetic exercise where two apparent solid masses connect with each other, and yet both are really energetic compositions. So I place my attention to feel the energy between the back of my legs and the chair. And I allow that energy to move up. And this time I'm going to see it holistically. It's going to move in the front of my body and in the back of my body simultaneously, as though it's an encasing. My attention is going to experience the skin in the front and in the back simultaneously. As the energy moves upward to my heart, I just feel my belly button, my internal organs, my skin, where the skin and the invisible meet. And I go all the way up my arms and I land in my heart. And in my heart, I'm going to try something in addition to just feeling my skin and the invisible realm meeting each other. I'm going to now allow my attention to grab me and pull me energetically to the edge of my field, the edge of my auric field. And I just allow myself to feel that space between my body and the edge. And I'm doing this in the front and I'm doing this in the back, and I'm just allowing myself to feel that spaciousness between the seen and the physical and the unseen and invisible. And I go up to my shoulders and my throat and my third eye and the top of my head. And now, about 2 feet above my head, I'm going to just look down and notice energetically where my skin meets the invisible. And from this drone like view, experience the feeling tone of the visible and invisible touching each other. And now take a moment and reach out energetically to each other, to all of us on this YouTube video. Feel into location, into space, into numbers of being, and just allow yourself to feel the space between yourself and each other. And then bring your attention back into your own field. And let's just imagine that you and I are seated in a pyramid, an invisible pyramid, a sacred structure that's large enough to have our body sit within it. And there are some times when I see the sun coming through the window and I can see little dust speckles in a room. So, what I invite you to do with your eyes closed and sitting in the middle of this paradigm is to just imagine that you are surrounded by gold light little fluffies in the air. And what we're going to do for the next 5 minutes is just in silence experience the vibrational energy between little gold dust speckles and our body temples in this encased pyramid. And I think of this environment as the healthy environment that Bruce Lipton speaks of when he talks about the cells being placed into a healthy environment. That right now, you and I in consciousness are sequestered in a holy shape, which is a pyramid. And we are in the environment of what I'm going to call gold dust that has a high vibrational value. And so, if there's any part of your life that is unhealthy, that needs to be placed in to a healthy environment, bring in consciousness, that aspect or that part of your life here and now into this pyramid. And if there's another aspect of your life that you intuit to be unhealthy or could use fortification, bring that into this space, into this consciousness, into this field as well. And just notice as you have done this, if there's any feeling tone that's different in your field. If you saw a shift, like if you brought something in and you saw it or felt it differently. And I just like to pay attention to my meditative work because inevitably it shows up in form somewhere along my journey. And so I like to capture or remember or recall and reinforce that this work I do in consciousness is essential for my spiritual life. So we just notice. This is witness consciousness. We witness the presence of God at work through consciousness. And my phone is ringing in the room, and it's so perfect. It's so perfect. And it's perfect because whenever we meditate, there's inevitably some kind of distraction. And it's an opportunity for us to practice remaining focused, remaining vigilant, remaining sturdy, remaining in practice despite distractions. And so now let's allow the pyramid that is ever so supportive to be dismantled and that beautiful gold dust to dissipate or remain active around us in our field. I always trust that right action unfolds. So if there's anything I need in that energetic, it stays with me. And if I don't, I know that it will dissipate or go where it needs to go. I call this the Holy Spirit at work. You and I are able to invite it in, and it knows more substantially in my soul what I need than what my head thinks I need. And so I make sure I place the invitation and then I allow it to do its work. So let's start at the top of our head, our crown chakra. And repeat after me. I accept the wisdom of the divine presence of love to be in operation through me. And let's go down to our third eye, where I call it my single flashlight, like the minions have. That light that comes through the first eye, the third eye, the holy eye, the sacred eye, the Horus eye, whatever we want to call it. And repeat after me. I am willing to see with the eye of God. And let's bring our attention down to our throat and repeat after me. I speak uplifting words to myself and others. And let's go down to our heart and repeat after me. I feel the presence of God right here and right now. I am love. I am loved. Let's bring our attention down to our solar plexus. Solar meaning sun, so allowing ourselves to experience, to see the sun within us, in our belly and our being and our solar plexus. And say, I am fortified by the divine presence within. I am fortified with the divine presence without. Let's go down to our lower belly area. And repeat after me. I create from inspiration. And then place our attention on our pelvic area and repeat after me. I belong to that which is holy. And bringing our attention back down to our feet once again, and feeling the energy between the bottom of our feet and planet Earth. Ah, amen. So I invite you now to open your eyes very slowly, very intentionally. Take a nice big deep breath, move your shoulders backward and forward. And I have I have nonstop knocking on my door. So I had the phone and now I have the door. So I will need to leave. And what I say to each one of you is namaste. I love you. Check out our website, spiritualcenterspokane.org. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Love and blessings.